Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad they're in good shape.
Yeah.
Do I want to put this up or not? No, I don't think we're going to do that.
Lisa, you still wanted one of the consent? Mm-hmm. Oh, take your time, yeah.
Lisa, after the meeting, I've got a quick question for you. Wait. No signal to go yet?
He just did.
Oh.
There we go. The Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 meeting of the Eden Prairie City Council is now called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to this evening City Council meeting. It's nice to have people in the audience again after a year of absence somewhat. We've had several of these with people, but it's just nice to see faces out there, so thank you. Smiling faces, no less, so thank you so much. You don't have to smile. I'm just saying it's nice to see you smiling. Just a brief announcement about Open Podium. Open Podium is an opportunity for Eden Prairie residents to address the City Council on issues related to Eden Prairie City government prior to each City Council meeting, which are normally the first and third Tuesday of each month. These open podium times take place from 6:30 to 6:55 here in the council chamber. If you wish to speak at open podium, please contact the city manager's office at 952-949-8412 by noon of the meeting date with your name, phone number, and subject matter, just so we can be better prepared for you. Open podium is not recorded or televised. If you have questions about open podium, please do contact the city manager's office. Mr. Getro, we have several items under proclamations and presentations tonight.
We do, Mayor. First, we have our Sustainable Eden Prairie Awards, something we're very excited about. The last few years, we've awarded to our residents and businesses and nonprofits awards for sustainability in different categories of sustainability. And our sustainability coordinator, Jen Hassebrook, is here to kick things off, and we have several members of our Sustainability Commission, along with student members that are here tonight to present these awards.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the council. As Rick had mentioned, I am here tonight to present the Sustainable Eden Prairie Awards. And this award recognizes residents and businesses who have made a significant contribution to the overall sustainability of the community in our primary focus areas of energy, landscape, waste, and water. Nominees must be a resident or business, and this is the 5th year of the award program. So the nominations were reviewed by staff, reviewed by my Sustainability Commission members back here, and they selected the winning projects for you tonight. So tonight, I actually have the pleasure the student commissioners are going to help with the presentation. So first, I'd like to invite Annie and Abby to introduce our recipients in the waste category.
Good evening. My name is Anna Maristella, and I am a student commissioner serving on the Sustainability Commission.
Good evening. My name is Abhi Rajashekaran, and I am also a student commissioner serving on the Sustainability Commission. Our recipient tonight in the waste category is Pizza Karma. Pizza Karma uses plates, utensils, and pizza trays that are completely compostable, made from palm tree leaves. Cups are also compostable, made from a corn byproduct. Chairs in the restaurant are made from recycled plastic bottles.
Pizza Karma has also installed innovative hand washing machines to reduce water use, and they also have a beer tap system that fills from the bottle up to reduce wasted product. Would the representatives from Pizza Karma please come up and accept your award? Next, I'd like to invite Amalaga up to the podium to introduce the Sustainable Eden Prairie Award recipient in the landscape category.
Good evening. My name is Amalaga Timma, and I'm a student commissioner serving on the Sustainability Commission. Our recipient tonight in the landscape category is the Preserve Association. This recipient is a repeat of our winner in the landscape category in 2020. In 2021, the Preserve Association installed an additional 1.5 acres of native plantings. They also converted 20,000 square feet into no/low-mow grasses this fall. They planted 100 seedling trees to replace ash and other trees lost to disease and storms, and used goats again this year to remove buckthorn. Would the Preserve Association please come forward to accept your award?
Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to invite Augie and Julia to introduce our recipient in the energy category.
Good evening. My name is Augie Stukenborg, and I'm a student commissioner serving on the Sustainability Commission.
Good evening. My name is Julia Harris, and I'm also a student commissioner serving on the Sustainability Commission. Our recipient tonight in the energy category is Mark Weber. Mark Weber installed solar panels on the roof of his home long before it was common, and his interest in solar energy led him to eventually become the board chair of the Minnesota Renewable Energy Society. Under Mark's leadership, the Minnesota Renewable Energy Society hosts an annual solar boat regatta on Lake Riley and provides speakers to educate the public on solar energy.
Mark has also exhibited at the State Fair and shares his love of solar with various community groups. He's always willing to advise his friends and neighbors who are thinking about solar panels and has become an invaluable resource to those starting to explore renewable energy. Would Mark Weber please come forward to accept your award?
I want to thank the City of Eden Prairie and the Parks Department for allowing us to use Riley Lake for at least 6 years now for the Solar Boat Regatta. Jay's department's done a great job, and we have nothing but respect for them. And the city's really stepped up to help because the Optimist Club of Eden Prairie is a partner, and Let's Go Fishing of Eden Prairie is a partner, and the fire department used to be a partner, and we'd love to get them back. But we thank you very much. You guys have been great to the Minnesota Renewable Energy Society, and we'd love to get a boat from Eden Prairie to race this year on May 21st. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Finally, I'd like to invite Mutu up to introduce our recipient in the water category.
Hey everybody. Well, that's me. A little bit jarring being in front of y'all. My name is Mutu. I'm on the Sustainability Commission. I'm a student commissioner, just like all my friends over there. And I'm here to talk to you guys about Shields Eden Prairie, who's our recipient for the award in the water category. Now, Shields is like super big building, like we all saw it being constructed. Naturally, with that, there's going to be a lot of water consumption, right? Shields installed a rainwater harvesting system so that they can offset some of that burden on the city. This system collects up to 1.2 million gallons of water every year. And once that water comes through the system, it goes into one or four storage tanks underground. These are 13,000 gallons each. And once they have the water, it gets treated, and then it can water their landscape features on their property, and it can also be used to flush the toilets at Shields. Now, this system saves the city about 40% of what Shields would have been getting from us in terms of water. They can power about 60% of their yearly water use just through this rainwater system. So for that, Shields is our recipient in the water category. Now, I don't have the pleasure of inviting anybody from Shields up here today because they got their plaque yesterday and they were unable to make it. But Shields is our recipient, and I'd like to invite Jen back up here to close. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Well, just to wrap up, I'd like to say congratulations to all of our award winners. Again, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you to my wonderful student commissioners for helping out tonight with the presentation. And thank you to my sustainability commissioners for coming to support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank the Sustainability Commission. We really appreciate all of our commissioners, but you've got a great commission that helps advise us. Appreciate that. All right, Mr. Getcho, I know that, do you want me to do the introductions? You want to, well, we're really privileged, honored tonight to have the Hennepin County Sheriff, David Hutchinson, otherwise known as Hutch. I think a lot of us know him more as that. Really appreciate you taking the time to come and address us. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate all you do as well, Hutch. So, welcome.
Thank you. And it was wonderful going to a city council meeting and having positive news like these commissioners, these students, and very well spoken. And I just hope that they don't run for sheriff anytime soon. So give me one more term. Again, thank you, Mayor, city staff, elected officials. It's an honor to be here. I love Eden Prairie. I don't live here. I live in Bloomington, but I spend a lot of time here. Again, we got to thank Chief Sackett. He runs a great organization. It's the men and women of the Eden Prairie Police Department are respected, not just locally, but I think nationally. I have a good friend of mine who's a sergeant here, Robbie Johnston, who introduced me and actually took me to the senior center and had some coffee with the seniors during the kind of lull in COVID. So hopefully with the numbers going back up that we can get back there eventually. But again, thank you. And Chief, he's been great to work with, and he probably doesn't care, he doesn't work anymore, but I'm sitting in the back reading my notes and I get a text from former Chief Weber. I see you on the big screen. So the chair I was in was perfectly in there. So I had to give him a shout out. He's a great human being and a friend of mine, but I think you're in good hands with Chief Sackett. He's, again, well known throughout the metro as being a great chief and runs a great organization, and with good elected officials and city staff, especially right now. It's a trying time to be in law enforcement, recruiting stuff. So places like this are kind of a godsend to a lot of people who want to get in law enforcement. So mayor and city council and city staff, you should be proud of yourselves. As we all know, it's no secret that we've had some turmoil and some unfortunate events the last couple of years. The killing of Mr. Floyd and some other issues we've had with Brooklyn Center. My agency has never been tested like this before. We had to help out Police Minneapolis. We still do because of their short staff. But the suburb agencies are not getting less service. I want to make that clear that our services that we offer to the suburbs are as good as they've always been, and we will continue doing that. And that's because of the brave men and women who wear this uniform, who are working their tails off, doing what we need to do, statutorily mandated for jail, courts, water patrol, warrants, civil, etc. But they're also taking up overtime to go police the streets and get hopefully this carjacking under control. Again, the collaboration with Eden Prairie it's second to none, and that's why these numbers are so low, because they're very self-sufficient. In 2021, there was 32 requests for our office fulfilled by Eden Prairie, and that could be investigatory help, a CSAR, criminal information sharing analysis group, or a violent offender task force if there is a violent criminal in your city. We're the first people to come assist. And again, we did some car theft, identity, financial crimes, transaction of credit card fraud. People forget the sheriff's office has a ton of analysts and a ton of detectives in our crime information sharing analysis section, which it's kind of like you see on TV. There's big screens. They have social media up. And they're monitoring everything from transit cameras to the highway cameras. So I always like to give them a shout out, because a lot of times we forget about how great the people who are working for the agency who don't wear the uniform are. And of course, Eden Prairie participates in the Southwest Collaborative and the task force. Again, we're working around the clock to get violent offenders off the streets. We need help from our elected judges and other people in the criminal justice system. And I'll talk about this a little later. I'm all for giving people second chances. I'm all for giving people help. If you come to our jail with an addiction issue or mental health crisis, that's the last place you belong, is in our jail. We have great services for those people because there's no other services available. But we work really hard to get those people out and in care facilities, which is tough. But people who commit violent crimes over and over and over and over and over again, we're talking carjacking by gunpoint, gun crimes, shootings, those people need to be incarcerated, as we've seen. People suffering from mental health, addiction, and low-level crimes where they made a mistake. I made a few mistakes in my life, and luckily I was able to get on the right path. We got to make sure we hold criminals accountable. Again, I'm all for second chances, but when you're pointing guns at people's faces as they're trying to go to the grocery store, it needs to stop, and they need to be held accountable, and our judicial system needs to step up. So positive news is North Metro Training Facility, which a lot of agencies in the county use. The Sheriff's Office does use it. It'd be like your South Metro Training Facility. Thankfully, and I have to give Commissioner Debbie Gotel and Commissioner Latendresse, they're both in Eden Prairie, and they're both great leaders. But they, and amongst the other 7 county commissioners, voted for a lot of money for the expansion of that training facility in Maple Grove. We're going to, obviously focus on de-escalation, crisis intervention. This is going to be state-of-the-art. Video systems where we can change the suspect descriptors, different races, different sexes. So, I always talk about implicit biases. We all have them. Cops are human beings, and we watch the same TV and played the same video games growing up as anybody else. But we can actually train out some of these biases, and that's what we're really excited for. This profession's gone through a lot. I'm second-generation law enforcement. My dad was a long-time Burnsville officer. And what's happening now with the exodus of our officers is very scary. So that's why these extra training, and I like to say, tend to modernize, make this profession, and evolve it into the greatest profession we can. You look at what we did 20 years ago and stuff that would kind of frighten people. We've evolved so much as a profession. Now it's time to evolve even more. We need education, we need training, we need proper funding, and we need support of elected officials in the community. Without that, we're rendered useless, as you've seen in the city of Minneapolis. some stuff we're working on programs. Hope, if you saw that, helping others by providing education. This is going to, we've kind of mimicked this after Flint, Michigan area. We're going to give people the opportunity to learn while they're in jail. Sometimes they're only there for a few days or a few weeks, but if we can get them on a Chromebook and learn a trade, learn culinary, learn anything, get their high school diploma, we're doing that. And please look up the HOPE program, HOPE. We're doing a ton of vocational training. It's going to be a great program. It's already started, but we're kind of just growing it and looking for sponsors. And the first responder stickers that we put out with people suffering from mental health crisis or autism or Alzheimer's or anything, we have stickers that people can put on their doors of their house. And some people don't want to put those stickers on the front doors because they think it invites criminals. Put it on the inside door where the person happens to be the most. So when the first responders, when police, fire, and EMS come in, we know, and we can kind of change how we're going to talk. Do we have to call a mental health professional in? It's just, again, evolving. This profession's evolving. We've learned that while we do a lot of things great, we can't do everything. And listening mental health professionals, other elected officials, and to our organization is going to make us great. And I think we're pretty good now, but we can always be better. We have the Tura bags, which are the bags you put your unused medication in. You put some water in there, you follow directions, very simple, and then they're safe to throw away, which helps us with the opioid epidemic we're facing. Again, we've done a lot of virtual classes on the Narcan training. That's the drug that gets you out of overdose. We've done those virtually. We're doing them in person as well now. If you have any questions, you can email us at drugdisposal@hennepin.us. Wellness for employees. I mean, you talk to the deputies, the men and women who have worked for the sheriff's office. You look at the Chauvin trial, all these other trials coming up, the unrest, stepping up policing in different communities that we're not used to, a busy year on Lake Minnetonka. These people are under immense amount of stress. They're getting forced to work overtime because of staffing. So we're really, when I got elected, I started the Tri-Wellness Unit, which is mind, body, and spirit, and we're actually going to add a financial component to that because when I got my first cop job out of college, the first thing I did was go buy a truck I couldn't afford, and that was having to work overtime, less time away from my loved ones. So we're working on gyms, better gyms to get our staff in better shape, mental health professionals, we have chaplains. It's my duty as sheriff is to make sure that the men and women who protect us day in and day out have this care they need. They see a lot of trauma, even before this last couple of years. I mean, going to fatalities, going to houses with kids that were hurt from adults. I mean, our staff does that every single day. So Try Wellness has been a very good program. We're going to, again, step that up and make sure that our people are taken care of, because if they're taken care of, the next interaction you'll have with them on the street, on the water, in jail, hopefully not in jail, but it's going to be more positive. You take two people that are struggling, they're going to bump heads. You take one person struggling with a well-trained, well-taken care of police officer, the situation's going to end a heck of a lot better. And I just wanted to touch briefly, obviously it's not Eden Prairie, but with the vote a few weeks ago with Minneapolis and the foolishness of trying to disband the police department failing, 57% voted not to have that, and 44% of people did. I respect those 44%, and now this is a fact. Now we have to work hard to get their trust again. But the people of Minneapolis have spoken. Minneapolis is obviously a very, very progressive city, not only locally but nationally. And I'll tell you what, 57% of those people said we need the police. And a really fun story before I take all your time is the day after the vote, I walked around downtown with Billy Peterson, who's the downtown inspector, and a couple other Minneapolis cops, and a few other people from downtown Improvement District. We were getting thumbs up, we were getting honks, we were waving, and I still remember probably 65-year-old African-American man kind of gave us a fist bump and said, "I don't really like y'all, but I know we need you all." And I went to shake his hand. He said, "I told you I didn't like you." But just how powerful that was, all the powerful, positive stuff we got. And I still consider that positive, but that guy's had probably a lot of negative interactions with the police. And I think maybe that's why he doesn't like us. So 2 things out of the story is we need to fix our relationship with everybody, especially people of color and different diverse populations. We need to treat them better. We're going to treat them better. But it also is, people have spoken, we need law enforcement. We're the peacekeepers. We're what separates normal people from evil. And so when we have cops that do dumb things, they need to be fired. They need to be set in jail if they're guilty of a criminal violation. But the good cops that are out here every single day, busting their behinds, working Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, you name it, every single day they deserve our respect. They deserve a fair compensation for their duties. They need to be taken care of. We need to make sure our peacekeepers are number one in our society's prerogative at this point. I love this profession. There's no greater profession. We've kind of been on our knees the last couple of years, but we're slowly getting up, and nothing is going to stop us from protecting the people we serve. With that, questions or comments, I'm open.
Thank you. First place, thanks for being here. Thanks for what you do. Appreciate you, and that you are very much a relationship person. So absolutely. I appreciate you as a person and my interactions with you. A couple things, and I'll open it up also to other council members. Based on statistics data, Eden Prairie is a very safe community, and I guess I want our residents, I think they know that. I think sometimes it may not always feel like that. So I want to address that part of it, the perception part. We did have a hijacking, the first one that I'm aware of for quite a while, several months back. Sunday, there was a car theft in Western Edina in an open garage where a woman literally had just taken groceries out of the car and walked them inside, and 2 young men jumped out of a car and stole her car. It's since been found. We've had some additional small but nonetheless significant car vandalism type activities that I don't know if it's increasing, but it's around. And so with social media today, Facebook and Nextdoor, that just spreads like wildfire. So I guess my question to you is, what role can the county play to pull cities into unison to help combat this as a single force? I've been on the phone because of the car theft yesterday in Edina, which is more of a metaphor, I realize, but nonetheless it's significant because it's like that could be anybody, right? Just an open garage door. I've talked to Mayor Hovland, Edina yesterday, Mayor Weirson from Minnetonka yesterday and today, Mayor Bussey from Bloomington today. And we're contacting the mayor of Plymouth. We're looking at, in the next week or two, getting the city managers, the mayors, and chief of police from those 5 cities together just to have lunch. Did I tell you that? We ought to probably serve lunch or something. But anyway, have lunch and really just talk. What are you facing? What ideas do you have? Each of us have a little bit different some issues. Minnetonka has drag racing going on 494, I guess, in the middle of the night. We all have our slightly different take, but I want us to begin to talk. So I want to ask you, what role can you play and what role can the county play? Because I think the perception is that on the part of many people, and it's fear, that things might be changing slightly. So I'll let you respond to that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. A couple of questions there. I think the first one would be is what can we do? We're already done. Our crime lab comes out and investigates those crimes if asked. We do some directed patrol if asked. But I think the most important thing that you can do is you're talking to other mayors and other elected officials is, we've talked about police reform for a couple years now, and it doesn't seem to do anything at the Capitol because it's sometimes maybe too aggressive. My hope is that through all of this, people learn, no matter Eden Prairie, North Minneapolis, Rogers, that well-funded, well-managed police departments and public safety agencies reduce crime. The crime trend in the nation is up very high. Hennepin County, Minneapolis, it's not just a city thing, it's a suburb thing, but it's nationally. Why is that? Well, there could be a lot of people leaving the profession. A lot of people can't handle going into a job where even the people they work for don't like them, like what you've seen in Minneapolis. We have to get to the root of all this is people who are committing crimes over and over again need to be incarcerated. people who make mistakes, a young man or a woman or whoever makes a mistake, should we punish that person for their whole life? Probably not. But I think what you're doing now is talking to these mayors is how we get, what we've learned the last 2.5 years is the biggest city in the county, Minneapolis, after their issues needed help. We helped it. We had the West Command Mobile Field Force come down, which you guys are a part of. All the cops from pretty much all over the state came and helped. So I've gotten super close with all the chiefs, Colonel Winger of the State Patrol, Commissioner Harrington. I talk to those people more than I talk to my loved ones because we're always planning for this. So if something were to happen in Eden Prairie of a large-scale event, I hope it doesn't, but we'd be there to assist. West Command would be there to assist. But Eden Prairie is safe. It's a safe city. There's going to be issues. What we need to do now is we've learned, talking about police evolution, let's talk about criminal justice reform, criminal justice evolution. The jails, the court process in Hennepin County right now, I think needs some work. I think people need to be held accountable. If I do things and things happen, my agency has made mistakes, but I'm called out on it. When's the last time you've seen a judge or some attorneys called out on some mistakes they've made? I don't remember any. And I'm not trying to go to battle with the attorneys or the judges. They do a great job. But we have to hold these people accountable. That's why crime is skyrocketing. Part of it's COVID, part of it's all this other stuff. But if you have police forces that aren't supported, bad people are going to take advantage of that. And with the collapse of the Minneapolis Police Department now, they're starting to get rebuilt now, is we see that Minneapolis did a heck of a job keeping a lot of the violent criminals at bay, if you will, in the city, and they did a great job, arrested a lot of people. But now we have to talk about programs like HOPE. We have to get people in the mental health out of the jail, people suffering from addiction out of the jail. Those people belong in services to help them. Our job is to maintain and help people in our custody. So we can't do everything. So what you're doing, I think, Mayor, is great. Hold all our elected officials accountable, including me. And I think that's how we get past this crime spike. And again, it's a national trend because a lot of people aren't choosing to do other professions, make more money, less stress. But I'll tell those people that are considering law enforcement, like I said, we've been down and out, but we're going to come back bigger and better, and we're going to help the public more than we ever have.
Council, any comments or questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, Councilmember Nelson.
One thing we're really proud of about our police force is they're also all EMTs. And it seems to make a big difference when they're going out to a variety of situations that they look at, obviously from the police standpoint, but they can also look at it from the EMT standpoint when they need to switch over. And that seems to make a lot of things work better for everyone. It's something I wish other police forces would consider doing, since it's been very successful here for a long time. And we're quite proud of them.
I think you have a great point. I'll give one of my majors, Jeff Storms, a shout out, who actually lives in your city. We talked a lot about, other cities, Minneapolis, other cities that don't go to medical calls where they need to be EMT. Like, the public only sees you when bad stuff happens. So when you are an EMT, you go to people's houses, like your cops, they go to people's houses and they're helping people. They're putting oxygen on them. They're taping up their Band-Aid until the paramedics arrive or the firefighters arrive. Big cities don't have the resources that, but just think what would change if in a high crime area, if you saw a police officer that was training EMT, giving some young, diverse kid some aid, or going to a house and helping someone sick until the paramedics got there. Just that little tiny thing would change how people see us. We don't want to be the boogeyman, but sometimes in big cities, because the resources are so thin, that's the only time they can go is just do that. We want to see people to see us in the good times, and there's much more things positive we do than negative, and that's just one thing. I completely agree with you, but I think people would argue funding.
Councilmember Toomey, just to comment on her as well, that she leads our Eden Prairie Crime Fund here. So appreciate all that she does.
And I was going to mention this during the consent calendar vote, but I think it's appropriate now since we are working with the county. I think we're looking forward to hiring a full-time social worker to work with the Eden Prairie Police Department, and it just tells me that we're being very proactive, especially in this current climate. And also, one more thing, you mentioned the doTERRA bags. We actually offer those for free for people in our police department if they want to come in and get them.
Cool.
Drug disposal bags. But what do you think about the social workers?
It's a great, I was with Commissioner Latendresse when we were, I think, out in Minnetonka talking about, it's a great program. I mean, they can get into databases that we can't. People who call 911 asking for help for mental health reasons sometimes don't get proper service. So we have one in dispatch as well. So he or she can, if a person calls 911, they're having some mental health trauma, they can actually transfer the call to a social worker or get their information. Because sometimes the police aren't the best people to go. If someone's suicidal or having depression issues, the last thing you need is lights and a person in uniform coming. So social work, it's good. It's the thing of the future. But people that think they can just send a social worker to anything, they're, in my opinion, clueless. It has to be a joint response of a police officer, social worker, mental health professional. It's teamwork. I mean, we haven't been great at the mental health interactions with law enforcement, not great at all. So this is just part of the evolving. Like, let's ask for help. And we're always used to being the problem solvers. We don't need help, but I'm asking for help. I'm asking for social workers in every city that can go to our calls, so not a cop or a deputy ever has to use force or, God forbid, take the life of anybody, but especially someone who's suffering from mental health trauma. That is a career ender for cops. So if we can get this program better, make sure that people that call 911 that need help get the right help. The police and the sheriff's office, we're going to be there to assist, but we're not always the right people.
Yeah, and just to be clear for our residents too, we've never intended that our social workers, or if we ever do go the route of a domestic abuse counselor or something, that we would never use them as the first line of response.
No.
Because obviously police officers, as you know, and they've told me so many times, you don't know what you're getting into when you answer that call. And once the situation stabilized, then the social workers and any other support staff would be the ones to call. So,
follow up and help with after, the social workers would be there to follow up and help for afterwards and free up the officer's time.
correct.
Great. Thank you.
It's a great program. I mean, it's awesome.
Anything else from anybody? Are we, Councilmember Freiberg?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much for coming out here tonight. One thing that I hear a lot, and this has to do with light rail. Eventually it's going to be coming, within the next couple of years. And there is a portion of the residents that has concerns about, potential expanded crime, being that we're at the end of the stop. Question I got is the Sheriff's Department actively involved with, whether it be the Met Council, the Hennepin County Board, or the various police departments of the communities affected? Are you part of the discussion also as far as, potential security risks and how to be proactive? I'm big on proactive, not reactive. And I was just wondering if you're part of that mix.
Yeah, our county board does a good job with briefing me on what they're talking through that. And before I was sheriff, I was sergeant for the transit police, so I know all about the transit system. Is people have to follow the law, follow the rules. But again, if the transit police have enough resources, they're going to be down here helping out Eden Prairie. I think there maybe be more calls of service there, but at the end of the line, I don't think it's going to be anything bad, because at the end of the line, there's stuff for people to do. As a transit cop, I learned that transit centers that are out in the middle of nowhere with nothing else to do, people get bored and do dumb things. So I don't think you have a ton to worry about, but I think the chief and I and whoever's next transit chief will obviously have those discussions, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office will gladly assist any way we can.
And there's a track record. There's data on the LRT lines that have been in existence now for decades, right? The first one, mid-90s. When did the first one come through? First line? It's okay. It's been a long time.
In the Minneapolis area?
Yeah.
It was late 90s.
Yeah. So the point is that data says that crime mirrors the neighborhoods that the train goes through. People get on and off the train, and the crime on the train will mirror the neighborhoods. The other thing I just want to point out, because I get the same concern, and I want to be proactive, I want to be ready. At the same time, in terms of needless fear, we've had a bus service that's come out of Minneapolis every night for 20, when did it start, 92, 27, 28 years, and terminated in Eden Prairie. And to my knowledge, we've never had someone get off that bus at 11 o'clock at night and go out in Eden Prairie and commit a crime. I could be wrong somewhere in there, but I think we have 28 years of that not happening. So I realize LRT is a different type of, public transportation system, but the concept that it's going to, bring something, and also I think we have to be careful as Eden Prairie residents not to put racist overtones or anything like that, but the idea that just crime itself will come back out to Eden Prairie, the opportunities have been there for 28 years on our buses. And so I want to be ready, I want to be proactive, I want to make sure that it's the super positive amenity that we all hope it will be. And I was talking to a few people in their 20s the other day that said that's exactly what we look for when we move into an area, public transportation like the LRT. So I think we're on the right track. We just want to, I appreciate Councilmember Freiberg's concern. We just want to be ready. I appreciate you being here. I don't want to take up your time the whole evening. You've been great to come in, and again, thank you for all you do. And please thank your sheriff's staff as well. Or
Absolutely.
I guess you're all sheriffs.
Deputies,
I'm not sure what
deputies
you
and
call all
employees,
of you.
yeah.
The team.
There's only one sheriff in this town. So.
Oh, one.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. I love it. All right. Okay, the next item is a Small Business Saturday proclamation for coming up this Saturday, Small Business Saturday. And we don't, I believe, have anyone from the chamber this evening, so I will just read this if that's okay. It's a proclamation from the City of Eden Prairie, whereas the City of Eden Prairie celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions that they make to our local community and economy. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 31.7 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all businesses with paid employees, and they're responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2019. Whereas small businesses employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, 88% of U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses, especially in the wake of the pandemic, and 92% of small business owners have pivoted the way that they do business so they can stay open during the pandemic. And whereas 97, there's a lot of data and stats in here, a little quiz at the end of this, whereas 97% of small business Saturday shoppers recognize the impact that they can make by shopping small, 85% of them also encourage friends and family to do so. Whereas 56% of shoppers reported that they shopped online with a small business on Small Business Saturday in 2020, and more than 50% of consumers, in other words, a lot of consumers were participating back in 2020, who reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. And whereas the City of Eden Prairie supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups, I'm almost done, as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed this Saturday, it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so it's a week from Saturday, as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, the Eden Prairie City Council does hereby proclaim November 27th, 2021 as Small Business Saturday, and we urge the residents of our community, Eden Prairie, and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. Ronald A. Case, Mayor. That's definitely, but a great initiative. So please support our small businesses. All right, Mr. Getcho. Donations.
Yes, Mayor. Several donations, all related to Parks and Recreation, so I will let Mr. Lotthammer run through these.
Your Honor, Council Member, the first donation that we have tonight is from Diane and Greg Brown, donating towards the Art Center. It's a kiln and also some clay molds. We believe the value of about $1,000, so really appreciate their kindness and thoughtfulness towards the Art Center.
Great. Is there a motion to accept?
Move to adopt the resolution accepting the donation of small kiln and clay molds by Diane and Greg Brown to the Eden Prairie Arts Center.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, next.
The item is from the Eden Prairie Crime Prevention Fund, donated $750 towards the Harvest to Halloween event, really impacting and helping all of our city departments serve our residents, and really a large turnout this year. We appreciate all of our residents coming out, and about 3,500 people attended that at Lake Riley. So not only the Halloween experience, but also the historical experience that we have at that park too. So that helped with the candy distribution and other supplies for that event.
That was an amazing turnout, and I did talk to some people that were not from Eden Prairie, which is great because I think it's just such a great marketing sales tool to let people realize what a fantastic community we are. But I would say the vast majority were probably Eden Prairie residents. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll move to adopt a resolution accepting the donation of $750 from the Eden Prairie Crime Prevention Fund toward the Harvest to Halloween event.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next.
This item donation is from the Benedictine Senior Living, going towards the Senior Center Fall Pumpkin Bingo. They're donating $250 towards that event, and many of our seniors turn out every year for that, and we'll appreciate their contribution.
Nice. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll move to accept the resolution accepting the donations in the amount of $250 from Benedictine Senior Living towards the Senior Center Fall Pumpkin Bingo.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next.
The last donation for the night is from Summit Place to the Senior Center for the holiday lunch. And I know the mayor mentions this quite often when we have donations, but especially at our senior center, this really makes it affordable and also really enhances the quality of the experience for those seniors that are there. And so we have a frequent partnership with Summit Place, and this isn't the only time they contribute, but they are a good partner within our community, and this will help defray some of the costs of the holiday lunch for our seniors.
Yeah, I'll underscore that all the donations we receive extend our tax dollar. We're just not able to do everything. And in some cases, we're not maybe allowed as a municipality, and this allows us to expand or extend our reach. So we really appreciate these donations. Is there a motion to accept?
I move to adopt the resolution accepting the donation in the amount of $200 from Summit Place to go towards the Senior Center holiday lunch.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Again, we just appreciate the donations. Let's move to approval of the agenda. Are there any items to question or add? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I will move to approve the agenda.
Or a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes. Anybody have anything to question or correct, edit from either the workshop held back on October 26th or the regular council meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion that would include both. Approval of both minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the council workshop held October 26, 2021, and the council meeting held Tuesday, October 26, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Again, there were no edits or corrections. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent calendar. You at first were going to maybe pull one, but you've addressed that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other council members have an item you wish to pull to at least question or look at a little bit more in detail? If not, is there a motion to approve items A? Let's see, we had a goldenrod sheet. Was that anything that we needed to look at? Is that for later on?
That's for later on.
Okay. Motion to approve items A through N on the consent calendar.
Move approval of items A through N on the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Again, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have no public hearings. Just wait till the next meeting, though. Is that right? We have like 3 or something?
Maybe
So
5.
Anybody in the audience that wants to come and stay for a longer one, if this is something we hope that you enjoy, come next time as well. December 2nd?
7th.
7th, that's
December
right.
7th.
Yep. December 7th. All right. With that, then, moving to payment of claims. Anybody have any of the itemized expenses that you wish to query about, question? If not, is there a motion to approve the payment of claims as submitted?
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of claims as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Freiberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Nelson.
Aye.
Councilmember Toomey.
Aye.
Mayor Case.
Aye. You did that without slipping on PJ. We were almost going to remember him there momentarily, but we do remember. PJ, if you're listening, we miss you. Right. He'll be back on December 7th. Come to that one. All right. Down to reports. I believe we had no additional reports of council members. Mr. Getcho, City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. You had mentioned the additional paperwork at your desk is related to the bond issuance that we are asking you to approve shortly. We today went to sale for $17 million in bonds. A huge portion of that is actually a refunding of some of our current bonds. So we're actually going to be saving close to $2 million by refunding that series of bonds. But we're also issuing bonds for our water meter project. So you know quite a bit of that from our workshop and discussion of replacing every water meter in a residential property throughout the city over the next 3 years. So we have our senior financial advisor, Bruce Kimmel, with Ellers and Associates, and he can certainly run through the details of the bond issuance, and as is typical with the bond issuance, a rating given to the city. So we're always pleased to get a reaffirmation of our AAA bond rating as well. So Mr. Kimmel, if you don't mind presenting a brief report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As City Manager Getchell mentioned, we had a very successful bond sale on the city's behalf today. We took bids at 11 a.m. and received 8 bids on your behalf, 7 of which were within 8 basis points or 0.8% of each other. So extremely aggressive bidding. And we are pleased that in spite of some of the volatility we've been seeing in the muni bond market in the last couple of weeks with inflation concerns and so on, you were right on target with our pre-sale estimates. And so as City Manager Getchell mentioned, on the refunding portion, you are achieving net true apples-to-apples savings of just under $2 million as compared to your previous tax abatement bonds for the Aquatic Center.
And what's the life of that bond?
It goes out another, I believe it's 10 years?
So
no.
$2 million is spread over the 10 years.
It's 13 years on that portion,
13,
yes.
got it.
So it's about $150,000 net savings per year. Good for at least a couple lifeguards.
And what was the interest rate, or will you be?
Well, so I'll go through the
I'm jumping
details,
ahead.
but yes, it was really great by historical standards.
Sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
Just anxious. Like, what was the
Yes.
interest rate? But no, I'm okay.
So if you go to the summary on the inside cover of the sale day report, I'll just hit a couple of highlights. So this financing actually started out at about $19.4 million, and due to the premium bid that was received from the winning bid with Piper Jaffray, we were able to reduce the bond amount by $2 million and still deliver roughly $6 million for the water meter project and the roughly $13 million that you needed for the refunding. So it's sort of a strange environment where you can issue $17 million to yield, $19 million, but that's where we're at, and it's working to the city's benefit. I would note that the true interest cost, to answer your question, Mr. Mayor, on this bond issue per Piper's bid was 1.42%. That's fixed for 15 years. And you alone will have the ability to either pay down that debt or refinance it again after 8 years. So there's no mandatory call feature. They can't reset the interest rate. This is locked as long as you want it to be locked.
It's amazing.
Nice.
If I can draw your attention to the bid tabulation, which is the next couple of pages, I just wanted to point out the dynamic, and some of you have seen this before. You can see that the coupon rates, which are the face interest rates on these bonds going from 2023 to 2027, are in the 4 to 3 to 2% range. But the true yields, that is the true cost to the city, when we factor in that premium, is only 0.28% up to 1.84%. So really, that's what you're paying for this capital, and that's what we're able to use to achieve such low debt service for the water project and net those savings for the refunding. And then I won't go through all the bids, but you can see how aggressive they were, right on top of each other in the 1.4% range, with only UMB Bank out of Kansas City a little bit higher at 1.62%.
Do we always automatically take the very lowest rate without thought to the stability and credibility of the financial institution, or do we assume that they all, or do we already vet them?
Yeah, we already vet them, and they're all fully accredited.
So
and
we take the lowest rate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I won't go through any of the debt tables unless you would like me to, but I did include some of the summary tables for the two different purposes. And I would just note on the last debt table, just in case you thought I was making it up, there is this debt service comparison that shows how when you compare the old 2014 bonds to the new debt service on that portion, you are netting roughly $150,000 of savings per year for 13 years. So really outstanding results. And I would point out also that when we look at refundings and we look at present value savings, we try to make sure that there's at least 3% present value savings, kind of for the time and effort of doing this. And you're at roughly 12% present value savings, so 4 times that sort of minimum threshold we look for. Then finally, the two credit ratings. As City Manager Getchow mentioned, both Moody's and Standard & Poor's affirmed their AAA ratings for the city. And I would say that this was probably the easiest rating affirmation that I've been part of for a long time. And part of it is the fact that City Manager Getchow, Finance Manager Wilson, and Public Works Director Ellis did a fantastic job of both preparing for the rating calls and then following up on some additional materials that were requested. But everything is looking really positive for the city. Your team did a great job of talking about the financial planning you're doing, how you're aware of some of the infrastructure needs you'll have in the future, how you're actively monitoring your pavement conditions and addressing pavement so that you don't have a shock and have to, spend $25 million in a certain year to upgrade your streets. And for a city that's still growing, but has also some mature infrastructure, that's really what Moody's and S&P are looking for, that you're looking over the horizon, budgeting appropriately here today, but also making sure you have capacity to keep investing in infrastructure and replacing infrastructure as needed in the years to come. So I really don't even need to flag anything that's even a yellow flag here. Really, you're doing quite well on all the metrics that both Moody's and S&P use. They do look at the city's finances a little bit differently, but overall, the affirmation was very, very favorable. So with that, I would welcome any other questions about the sale results or the ratings. And if you don't have any, I'd ask you to take up the resolution that Dorsey and Whitney did complete with the sale results. And thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you for your effort and time with this council. Any questions or comments besides yay?
Yeah.
Really good news.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's always, we just have to call out all our phenomenal staff, starting with Mr. Getchow at our finance department. But we hear this. I mean, it doesn't ever get old, doesn't get boring, but we hear it all the time. Just compliments for the way that our staff performs and the work they do and the stability of the city and the credibility and the quality of life we have here, and our residents give us the positive feedback back on surveys. I mean, it's a love fest. It's just a really good thing. So we really appreciate our staff, and thank you for all the hard work you do. So is the motion the same on the goldenrod as what's on the white sheet? I just don't want anyone to be confused if it's slightly changed.
I think what's on the white sheet is what you want to go with.
So if there aren't any other questions, is there a motion then to adopt the resolution?
Adopt a resolution relating to $17,360,000 general obligation water revenue and refunding bonds, Series 2021A, authorizing the issuance and awarding of the sale, fixing the form and details, providing for the execution and delivery thereof and the security thereof, and levying ad valorem taxes for the payment.
Good Latin there. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional comments, questions, discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I believe, Mr. Getchell, is there anything else to come before the council this evening?
No.
Council, anything?
Thank you to staff for keeping us in AAA bond rating, and when we always hear nice stuff, that's great.
Absolutely. So with that, I will entertain a motion then to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn the city council meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.